about 2 weeks already since the death of George Floyd. So far, how do you see how President Trump handled the situation?
He came out very disappointingly, as far as many people in California and elsewhere in America are concerned. For example, he instead of uniting the country, he decided to go his usual path, and that was to divide. And so he was taking sides. He wanted to take the military out onto the streets. He talked about the fact that the police and the military should be strong on the streets and to actually contain or stop the demonstrations. And he tried to use this old law, which actually came about in 1807, would enable the president to use active duty military soldiers, more or less, on the streets of America without the permission of the governors if there was an insurrection. You heard of the Lafayette Park, where he actually used the federal agencies to clear the road so that he could go to the church and hold the Bible, which became a very famous picture. But it was a negative way of handling things, and he actually received many criticisms, including from previous cabinet members.
Dr. Kantati, I'm certain that as a keen observer of American politics and of course the Iran's Corporation, the organization you work for, must be making assessment on the chance of President Trump in this upcoming election in November. So what is your assessment now? Judging from the way he handled the situation, the coronavirus, and then the anti-racism demonstrations.
Well, the coronavirus was a major failure on the part of Trump. He ignored the warnings from his own agencies, the National Security Council, the CDC, as well as experts that tried to warn him, including his own cabinet tried to warn him. He ignored that for quite a long time, and eventually, when things got very bad, he started to take action. But on his mind, it was more politics and how he would win elections. And Trump only thinks of winning elections. And his interpretation of winning elections is to have the country completely open so that business can continue and the economic numbers would go up. And he has shown his willingness to sacrifice lives of people in the U.S. For election successes. So he tried to present a picture of elections, economic success versus health. I think the general feeling is that without solving the health problem, the economic problem will be hard to solve in the long run.
But do you think this tactic will work in his favor in eventually?
So far, the combination has been quite bad for him. The latest polls have suggested that he is well behind Joe Biden now. And it just came out today, and the numbers are not very good for Trump at all. Nevertheless, there are still people who are his base, and they will support him no matter what, it seems. Some people still look at the economy. So if somehow the economy will continue to be open and continue to improve, then he might have a better chance, but at this point, it's low. So Joe Biden, in spite of the fact that he has been, of course, in his basement for a few months, he had now decided to leave the basement and came out. and his popularity has gone up. And maybe Joe Biden can summarize all of those situations.
So that means the situation of protest over George Floyd's death, do you see that it will worsen or make the situation for President Trump worse than before?
I think the situation for President Trump is not as good, especially after the two major crises, the COVID-19. What COVID-19 showed was a high degree of incompetence in the handling of the situation. And with the demonstrations, he came out as a divider. So the crack is beginning to show, but there are still some who will be holding on. So we'll see this erosion. I think Trump is very, very nervous at this time.